This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living.
Welcome back in to episode number 2 with our good friends, the Willinghams, here on the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. And as always, my partners in crime, Ben Hayes, Will the Thrizzle Mahan is with us as well. You guys doing all right?
We are doing great. It has been fun so far in this interview, and looking forward to some more from Josh and Ginger, and just glad to be here with you guys. How about it, Will?
Super excited about everything we've got going on. Super excited to hear the rest of what they've got to say.
Josh, Ginger, how are you today?
We are great. Thanks for having us.
Doing wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, we enjoyed the interview that we had that we aired last week, and looking forward to some good stuff again from you guys today. Is there, we'll just start right in with some of the questions. Is there a particular part of your career or your home life that you felt like your faith was really, I guess, being tested? That's kind of one of the things that we've really talked about in this podcast is, certain elements or times in our lives when we go through some difficult stuff. So can you guys, maybe point out a particular time in your career or just in your home life that's happened for you?
Well, yeah, I would say 2009, when my brother tragically died during the season, was definitely just a point in my life that was difficult. It was just very tragic, and didn't know really how to deal with a lot of that stuff. I had to, go home. I remember being in Tampa when I got the call and had to go home, and you get 10 days to be at home away from work, and then have to come back, and so it was just a crazy time, and just really didn't know how to deal with it, to be honest with you, because nothing like that has happened. And then after you go home and you spend time with family and mourn and all that stuff, then you have to just go back and put it on the back burner and go back to playing baseball. And so that was probably the hardest thing that I had to do. But you just don't understand a lot of times why God would do something like that. And that was one of the questions that I had for God during that time, was just why, and if you're gonna do something like this, my prayer was on a daily basis, show me something good that would come out of this. And if you want me to go into that now, I will. But he answered that prayer, and it didn't take a week. It didn't take two or three days, 2 or 3 months, but he did answer that prayer, and it actually. I think you guys are gonna do my mom next week, maybe on your podcast. But they started a run to the cross in the memory of my brother, and they didn't really know what to do with that money. And so Dorian Flynn's a good friend of ours from around here, and they dig wells for little cities, towns, villages, I guess, really, in Africa. And so that's kind of one of the things that my parents, myself, our family decided that we would donate the money to. And being a Christian, we're always looking when something is not going good or something goes bad. We always try to find, or I try to find, the good that could come into that. And this is how he answered that prayer. So they dug a well in Africa. From that well, these villages get clean water, right? And a lot of these villages the people have to walk a long way to get clean water. So it made it very readily available for them. From that well, obviously they get clean drinking water, but they get to cultivate a garden. They get to do all these other things. Well, they ended up building a school there, and ultimately a church. And people are coming to hear the gospel and being baptized, getting saved. And that was God's way of answering that prayer to Ginger and I, to, my family in general is, yeah, selfishly, I would trade all that to have my brother back, but obviously we know that can't happen. But, there are some things that he did from that, tragedy, that he showed us as Christians how he can, take something good from that and make it good.
Follow that up. Ginger I know that him going back on the road, and you being at home and having to, kind of deal with that too and go through that, but also support him. That just sounds like a if I can use the word, a mess to have to deal with. And of course, you lean on God through that. What were some things that, right along with what he said, back home with your kids and dealing with that, were there some things that kind of bore out of that was either a blessing or you've seen God kind of show up in that as well?
Yeah, I think so when Josh was on the road, I was in the hometown, the home city that he was,
Yes.
playing in. So I would be like, I was in DC while he was in Tampa when he got the call. So we were, we kind of had to figure out our plans and get home too. And so we stayed those 10 days, and then we actually went back with him when he went back. And I think that was a big part of what I wanted to do to support him, is to be with him during, the coming weeks and months, and make sure that we weren't away from each other as much as possible. We just had Rhett at the time. So DC, we could travel easily to Philadelphia and some of those places. And so we made sure to go on the road as much as possible with him. And I definitely think that was one thing that made us closer as husband and wife, and our family and everything. So definitely could see God working through that, as difficult as it was. But we had a really good support system with the nationals. We had the wives had a Bible study, the guys had chapel, and we had sort of that support group there that kind of got us through that. I was able to share a lot with our group of girls that we had a Bible study with, and I still get messages that said, what y'all went through, we saw y'all go through that, and that showed us your faith. And so I think we were able to kind of show our faith through something very difficult, and be an example to our teammates and our friends.
And that's an element of the major leagues that we don't always get to see and I've heard you guys talk about that before, having chapel, having the Bible studies with the ladies. That's, most, our world's not going to really advertise that, but that's a really cool element that you guys have mentioned before with playing, is that you guys had that spiritual sort of, family in some ways, even, as y'all were playing in the major leagues.
Yeah, and that's really what it was it was a, two different families, like you said. Every team has a chaplain is what they called him, but basically he does a lot of things. He's a life minister for a lot of people. Yeah, we do have chapel services every Sunday and Bible study, but they were always there, because that's not an easy life to live. It doesn't matter how strong you think you are. There's things that you go through. There's a lot of pressure when you're playing at the big league level. There's a lot of pressure. You got several thousand people watching you at home on on TV, millions of people if you're the Yankees. And then you got, 30, 40,000 people in the stands every night a lot of times. So there's a lot of pressure, and there's always somebody in the wings that's waiting for you to mess up or waiting for their shot. So you always know that. So the pressure to perform is big. And a lot of times that's who I would go talk to when I was feeling that pressure, just so he could, bring me back down to, look, just kind of be a life coach in a way. And I leaned on those guys, and, Chris Lane with the Marlins, Tim Pearson with the Nationals, Donnie Moore with the A's, and then Dave McIver with the Twins, and Tim Cash with the Royals. I know all those guys and have some sort of contact with most of them, to this day. And they were big influences on my life. And that was a big part of who we were as, baseball players.
Yeah, I think for sure, all of their wives were the counterpart to, we would have Bible studies, and it would most of the time be in the middle of a game. We would pick, during a homestand, we would have a Bible study. And that was just, it was so good because, first of all, we were around a lot of people that did not grow up like we did. And, and they were Christians. They just didn't grow up the same. And so it was so rewarding to be, in a group of women from all over the country that, we, our one thing that we had in common, really was that our husbands played ball and that we were Christians. And that was it, And, it was difficult on our side of it, the wives side of it, traveling and everything that we had to go through, as wives, that those women really got us through, some of those difficult times. And the chaplain's wives were amazing and, got us through a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and the wives got a lot to go through too, because they got to deal with their basket case husbands when they're 0 for 25. That's tough.
That's true. Yeah, I was just thinking about after Friday nights, I come home and my kids and my wife are the ones who have to deal with grumpy all weekend. So I can't imagine at the major league level, the things that you're dealing with and have to deal with when things aren't going great.
Sometimes the ride homes from the game are pretty silent, aren't they?
But I will say, I will brag on him. He was really good at leaving it at home. I mean, leaving it at the field. He was really good at that. I never felt like he was mad for too long or anything like that. He was always been really, really good at that. And, I also learned when to be quiet and not critique, not to say, give advice on baseball or anything like that. You look like you changed your stance a little bit.
Why are you swinging at that pitch?
No, I didn't do that.
I love it.
Well, we know post baseball, y'all have decided to kind of come back to Florence, to the big metropolis of the Shoals area. And so what is life looking like for y'all now?
Well, we're probably busier than we were when we were playing ball. And that's, got a lot of irons and a lot of different fires. But, I think, first of all, Florence was always the place that we both wanted to come back and live. As many places that we did live. And she could tell you how many different cities we lived in. How many?
Oh, I don't know about cities. We moved. We lived in about 30-something different places. So that was. Wow. So when I say traveling was difficult, it wasn't necessarily the traveling. That was the fun part. It was more the moving and the uncertainty and not knowing, where you would be next. So
yeah. So living all over the country, really, we got to see, from coast to coast, and there was really never a doubt that we wanted to come back here. And family had a lot to do with it. Her family's from here, my family's from here. So now, basically, let's see, where do we start? So I'm a college minister at Stony Point, coach high school football. Our kids are obviously really involved in baseball and sports, so we try to do all that. What else, honey? Josh Willingham Foundation, which my name is on it. She runs it.
We know who does all the work, John.
Absolutely. I'm just the name behind it. I don't know. Ginger's really involved at school at Mars Hill.
You have a farm.
I have a farm I have to take care of, and so we stay pretty busy.
So we know, ministry can be a little wild sometimes. So what's more difficult, hitting that 100-mile-an-hour fastball or doing ministry from week to week?
Well, I think it depends on the week and if the fastball is straight. Okay, if the fastball is straight, I like my chances. If it starts moving on me a little bit. So yeah, it's a good question. Both have their different challenges for sure, but that's one of the cool things about both of those is, the challenge itself and trying to do it and do it well.
Or throw in a third thing in there that I didn't think about until today, or hitting that buck with your bow, because I know you're a big bow hunter too, right? So that can be a frustrating thing too.
It very well can. Just got to try to keep the heart rate down a little bit, Got to keep the heart rate down and I'll be okay.
That's tough.
Well, so we know that as, being here in Florence and doing that kind of stuff, you guys have started this Josh Willingham Foundation. There's also some other stuff that's involved in that. So Ginger, you want to tell us a little bit about what you guys do with that and just whatever details that you guys want to share with us?
Sure. Yeah. So we started the Josh Willingham Foundation when John passed away. we did a golf tournament in his memory. And with us, being out of town all the time, we kind of just would raise money and, pass it on to another charity. And so in 2014, we knew that he was getting ready to retire, and we decided, hey, what can we do that's more hands-on? I knew that I was going from, doing volunteer work with whatever team we were with, to just coming home and really not doing a whole lot. And I was, really wanting to find something to get my hands, dirty, I guess, and really involved in something. And so a couple of ladies, Rebecca Shepherd and Gina Killen, we kind of were talking and, kind of trying to come up with something. And we all three just prayed about an opportunity that would come up. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but we started talking about kids in this area that actually go to school every day, then they leave on Friday, and then they're not eating again until Monday. And, I was like, here in the Shoals area, we have kids that are like not eating from Friday to Monday. Like, I just did not think that was even possible. And so we started talking about it, and, we thought, well, this is how we can get more involved. And so we started with 7 families at Central, and started packing a backpack full of food. And a lot of organizations, there's a lot out there that do so much good. And some of them were doing snack food, and we were like, let's take it a little bit farther and let's do like real food, that they can make a meal out of. So we started packing in these backpacks enough food to feed a family of 4. So over the course of, from 2014 to now, we're serving about 250 families every single week. And that's, 250 times 4 or 5 or 6, that's how many people we're serving. And so, as our program grew, people would say, well, what's your cap? Like, how many families are you going to serve? And we just kept saying, well, God has provided so far. We're just going to never cap it and see what happens. And so far, I mean, he has provided everything that we've ever needed. But, we've added schools. We didn't have the Florence city schools, until a couple of years ago. So we've added those. We've added, we have Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, county schools, and then Florence city schools. And then we also serve Safe Place. So that they're not having to go out and get groceries, we deliver bags to them so that, they're able to have something too. So it's crazy. And I never in a million years thought that 7 families would turn into what we do now, but it's definitely an effort given by many, lots of volunteers, lots of churches, lots of organizations. I mean, now I just go in and tell a few things to do and everybody's doing it. So it's definitely, it's not just us anymore. It is so many people that make it work. For sure.
Sometimes we get in the way, actually.
We have some great volunteers. They're amazing, and they get right in there and they work, and that's kind of making things difficult right now. We're having to change the way we do things and the way we pack and the way we are able to get our food and that sort of thing. So we've got a challenge ahead of us right now.
You've done a great job. That's one of the first things thought of. We went into this quarantine, just how many kids, through programs like that will, might not have the needs and their needs met. And, it's just one of those things people don't equate with school, a lot of times, that all these, you've always got the lunch ladies who are going to take care of you, and make sure you got food. And, so we've been certainly praying about that. And you mentioned volunteers. So, give us all the ways, give us as much information as you'd like on how people can help, either by volunteering, donating, or, whatever ways you've got. Just give us that info.
Okay. So first I'll say that the way that we find these families and how we know that there are families in need, those are through the teachers and counselors. There's no forms or anything that anyone has to fill out to kind of be approved or anything. It's dad was laid off. We need some help right now. We get them the help, and the teachers and counselors are with them every day. So they know who needs the help. So they have been amazing to help us, get the right families and know, because we don't know, and we don't even ask for names. ask, how many do you need this week? And, we make sure we fill those needs. But volunteering right now, so one of the biggest challenges that we have ahead of us right now during this pandemic is the fact that, first of all, churches that we normally are getting members bringing food to, a lot of churches aren't meeting, or, they may only have 20% coming back. And so we're not getting those food items. And then secondly, we can't order food anymore from the grocery stores. They're not letting us do that. And then also there's some limits on how much we can get. So a lot of days, if, we've gathered up the food from the churches and organizations, and, we look and we're like, all right, we're 200 cans of chicken short this week because we've got to do 250 cans every single week. We're like, let's go to Sam's, or let's go, wherever. And so, not being able to get some of those items, the amount that we need is going to be, going to be difficult. So volunteering, if you want to go out and shop for us, you can do that and, deliver it to our building. You can schedule a time with us to go, and like if your family wants to go and pack. Right now we normally have like packing days on Wednesdays where we pack at 10 and whoever wants to show up can show up. But because of us being very careful with everything right now, we're not really having those times where there's 30 people that show up. We're going to have to do it with a group of family. If your family of 5 wants to come and help pack, you schedule that time, y'all can come and pack. And so you can look us up on Facebook or our website, or you can contact me through Facebook or Josh, and we can kind of help you with volunteering. And then also just collecting food. If you want to make a donation, we're good with that too, and then we can go and purchase the food. But there's a lot of things. There's some of our volunteers take the food to the schools. Most of those are retired teachers that go into the schools and take our bags for us. So, and then lots of prayers, just that, we get what we need, and that, that this continues to be a successful way to reach these families, because, we're not trying to, this is God providing that, food for them, that they need. And so we just want to be able to keep doing this as long as possible.
We'll make sure and include your website and all of that kind of stuff. Anything that you guys have, we'll make sure and tag that in all of our posts so that people will see it. I was going to say this, that, one of the taglines I guess we've used a lot is God shows up and shows out. And it sounds like with Isaiah's call, he really has done that with the Josh Willingham Foundation. You guys, that prayer that Josh was talking about, praying, seeing God work and do some great things. He's doing that through you guys. What is a website that people can go to and see all this?
Just www.thejoshwillinghamfoundation.org. And, also if you're on Facebook or Instagram, there's an Isaiah's Call Instagram. And then Facebook, we've got the Josh Willingham Foundation and Isaiah's Call. So, that is the best way to get in touch with us. Probably if you're Facebook messaging, it's better just to Facebook me directly instead of the actual Facebook page of the Josh Willingham Foundation. I see it better. So, I'll answer any questions anyone might have.
What do you think of when I say school night dinners? Pretty sure you didn't think healthy, effortless, or relaxed. The back-to-school season is stressful under normal circumstances. Everyone has to readjust to keeping a schedule after a couple of months of the laid-back pace of summer. This year, the adjustment period will be even bigger shock to the system, since many of us have been home for almost 5 months due to the COVID-19 school closings last spring. The readjustment to the faster pace of the daily work and school grind will be stress-inducing for everyone, and new school guidelines like mandatory face masks, temperature scan stations, and social distancing practices may make little ones even more prone to anxiety, even if they don't say it out loud. This year it will be even more important for us as parents to be attentive to our kiddos as we get back to a semi-normal routine this fall, checking in to make sure that they are faring well mentally and emotionally, and helping them process all of the changes they will be experiencing. I know what you're thinking. That's easier said than done. There are so many urgent things that have to be dealt with every evening, like cooking dinner, packing lunches, doing laundry and homework that it's easy for the more important things like our kids' mental and emotional health to take a back seat.
Hi, Whitney, Travis's other half here. How about a week's worth of easy weeknight dinners for your family? We've done the planning for you. As a parent, the hours between the end of the school day and bedtime are precious. During the school year, our kids spend more waking hours with their teacher than they do with us. I don't know about you, but I don't want to waste the majority of that precious time in the kitchen. But I still want to provide my family with a healthy, tasty, and budget-friendly dinner. That's why we're giving you a meal plan with a week's worth of quick and easy, almost hands-free dinners for your family, complete with a grocery list. So you can take meal planning, shopping, and cooking off your to-do list. Now you have quality time to spend with your family. You can tend to the urgent and the important things and still have a relaxed, unhurried meal at the table with your family. Go to benandtravis.com/meal plan to sign up. We will send the meal plan and grocery list straight to your inbox.
Well, it's kind of we get ready to wrap things up for today. And by the way, thank you guys very much. Thank y'all for joining us and for doing this. We hope that you guys are going to get some attention from the community and maybe even beyond that to help out with this, because you guys are doing a great work. We always like to end with some fun stuff. So the last couple of questions for you is, what canceled TV show would you guys bring back if you could?
Can we agree on this one?
No.
Oh, go ahead.
This is, I mean, okay, so the cast has to be alive, right? If we can bring it back.
Well, it would be a boring show if it was.
Okay, so mine is Little House on the Prairie.
No, that's okay. I mean, we could take an old show. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Little House on the Prairie is mine.
Alive, but
Yeah.
I got you. That's a
I
good
don't know.
one. What about you?
Gilligan's Island.
Well, they're not all alive either, but hey.
So there you go.
Those are both great, though.
No, when
Can you sing the song for us, Josh?
Actually, I could get close, but I'm not gonna.
when Josh was on the road, I didn't like when we were staying in a new place, I'd be a little bit afraid. And so we would all, 3 boys and me, would pile up in the bed and we'd watch Little House on the Prairie until everybody got sleepy. So that's probably one of my favorite canceled shows.
It's a good one.
My wife would agree. She's a big Little House on the Prairie fan. I bought her the entire series for Christmas, but it gets heavy. That show gets heavy.
It is. Yeah, no, there's a few that we have to
wow.
get through.
I was not prepared for the heaviness of that show, but it was.
And that preacher does a lot of work. I mean, he does the songs and the prayers and the.
It's true.
I mean, he's in on everything.
Oh.
All right, second fun question for this episode. What is your most emotional movie moment? And emotional can be crying, it can be angry, it can be heartfelt, whatever emotion, but your moment in a movie, maybe even a TV show that gets you.
You wanna go?
Yeah, mine's probably, speaking of heavy, I mean, mine's probably The Passion of the Christ. Every time I watch it, I think that's the most I've ever cried or felt angry or any of those things. That is without a doubt like the most emotional movie moment for me.
I'll go a little bit on the lighter side, but I mentioned Hoosiers earlier. So, one of my favorite scenes of all movies is when Coach Norman Dale was in the huddle with his guys, and Jimmy Chitwood and all the boys are there, and they're waiting for the last play of the game, and he says that Coach Norman Dale says somebody else is gonna, take the shot, and all the players kind of look down, and then everybody looks at Jimmy Chitwood, who never says a whole lot of stuff anyway. He says, "I'll make it." I'll never forget him saying that. And then they run the picket fence. Jimmy Chitwood comes off the screen, drains the shot. Hoosiers win.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Well, guys, thank y'all so much for being with us and allowing us to be blessed by you. And we just are hoping that everything continues to go in the direction that you want it to, personally, but also with your foundation and all the stuff you guys do. Travis, Will, what do you guys have to close us out?
Just a big thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us on.
Very, very
It's been a
much.
lot of fun.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.